All right, good morning, everybody. This is the All About Nothing podcast, kind of daily show. I am Barrett Gruber at Barrett Gruber across all social media and a host of the All About Nothing podcast. Also joining me is my good friend, Mr. Bill Kimler, who is the host of Black, White, and Blue in the South. You can find him on all of social media at Political Bill SC. He hosts Black, White, and Blue in the South with Dr. Jamil Brooks. So, welcome, Bill. Good morning.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
How are you?
I'm doing super fantastic.
I
It
thought
is
I was prepared for it.
5:30 in the morning, and I can't think of anything else I'd rather be doing right now. Not a thing.
Your dedication to what you've been obligated to is wonderful. Also, blink twice if you're if you're under distress. Hey, Zach and I are going to be headed to Coastal Comic Con up in Wilmington, North Carolina this weekend.
Nerd Fest. Let's go.
Nerd Fest. It's going to be fantastic. We're excited. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to get to. So we were going to lead a panel where we were going to do an episode of the allaboutnothing.com, All About Nothing podcast on stage with an audience.
What happened?
Unfortunately, we got bumped. There's because
what huge name possibly bumped you from that stage?
I don't know.
I want to know who this massive celebrity. It must have been Shatner, right? Was it Shatner? Takei?
No.
Who was it?
It was
Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill came on board and bumped you off. It's had to have been. James Earl Jones rose from the dead, and now you've been bumped from that spot.
I'm thinking Kaylee Robrock, who is the original voice of Minnie Mouse. I think that's what happened.
Okay. Well, I can see it.
So, but we are going to have a table. We're going to talk to all of the celebrities, and we're also going to talk to a lot of the people showing up. We're going to walk around with our camera and microphones, and we're going to interview people that we see in costumes, or I guess they don't call it costume. It's cosplay.
Right.
Everybody's in cosplay. So Wilmington, North Carolina, to Wilmington Convention Center this weekend, March 1st and 2nd. Zach
awesome.
and I will be there. So
I'm heading up your way to do some recording soon, I understand.
Yes, that is true. In fact, just to pop that in there, you're going to be on the Welcome to Wonderland podcast with
That's
with
right.
me.
Big leagues. Like after that was what? Joe Rogan?
Well, Joe Rogan or Kylie Kelsey, or what's Jason Kelsey's wife's name? Because I think her podcast is eclipsed, and then I think the Midas Touch has eclipsed Joe Rogan.
I think they're now number one Midas Touch podcast.
Yeah,
interestingly enough, I listened to none of those, but okay. I hear they're good.
Well, they are very good. They are Ben and Brett Mysalis, and they are extremely passionate.
So where are we recording? Have we figured out a location yet?
I think I'm waiting for Preach Jacobs to get back to me, but I think we're going to be recording at the Soul House Art Gallery in Columbia, South Carolina. We're going to go upstairs and we'll have some art behind you guys.
Ami was texting me saying that she had an idea of recording right outside the state capitol building.
I thought that'd be a really cool idea too. And
I'm thinking that is the most ridiculous idea. Do you have any idea how dangerous that is to do an outdoor recording? I mean, let alone the noise that you're going to encounter, right?
Yeah.
Do you have any idea how many crazies walk along that street near the state house?
Well, what you ought to do is go back and watch the episode that I recorded with the coordinator of Everplay, because if you watch the episode on YouTube, that's all you see is people walking behind us. We're sitting in front of a table of a bunch of Everplay merchandise, and every kickball player that's either just played a game or coming up to play a game, they're all walking behind us. They're trying to talk to us while I'm doing the interview. So like one point, I think somebody, like a little child, actually started to stroll up and put I don't think you could see it because I cropped it out, but you see his hands go on the table. And I'm like, oh, he's gonna yank that banner off or something. But it was that was a fiasco.
I mean, why not just set up equipment at a table at Applebee's and do a show, right? Or
So
let's go in the middle of a church service
it's
and do
funny
an
you say that.
episode right from inside that.
I've given some consideration to doing something like that. We at one point we were trying to find places in like West Columbia that we could record episodes from, that we could be out like in a crowd. So Wico Beer Garden was one of the ones that we considered doing a show from. I had to get permission from the owners, but could not get permission from the owners. They I don't they didn't want anything to do with us or whatever, or they thought we were going to take up too much room, but we were just going to sit at a table, drink beers, and record the podcast. But and we've done live episodes from places like Transmission Arcade. We've done from the rooftop at Hendrix in Columbia, both associated with the Soda City Comic Con. That was last year, and this year I think we're probably going to do several more of those live episodes for Soda City coming up. That I mean, that's in the works. But yeah, so right
Jamil and
now,
I are planning over the summer to do an outdoor episode right in downtown Greenwood. And the fantasy is we take a table, we put up our chairs, put up all of our equipment, we get a permit to do so.
yeah,
And then we leave an open microphone for anybody off the street to come sit and chat.
sure.
And given the nature of the politics in the area, it could make for some very interesting. I mean, we may have to hire security for this, but we're going to have a speaker there, microphones, and just kind of broadcast live from the streets and
Yeah,
see what we can get. Could be fun.
it could be fun. It could be fun. Hey, did you get an opportunity to email Elon back on all of what you accomplished last week?
I did. In fact, I sent him an itinerary of all my bathroom visits. I very detailed with times and days and results and even some photos.
I had
Emails. Elon's looking at them all right now.
I had ChatGPT write out 15 different scenarios of different aspects of either fantasy or science fiction jobs, for and to make the emails incredibly long, but basically just different science fiction jobs, just some fantasy jobs from the perspective of like a bard on the corner, and what he accomplised last week,
Hey,
and that was
speaking of Chat GPT, do you use AI to write show notes now? Have I
no.
seen? I saw in one of your podcast releases of our recording a
Oh,
write up that seemed like it came right out of the mouth of Chat GPT.
so I will use the AI from Riverside or the
Riverside.
AI from Captivate to generate that those notes and
Do you
stuff.
actually read those before you post them?
No. How bad was
Okay,
one?
that explains a lot. Okay, I just needed to know. I
No, I
needed to
don't.
know.
I don't read them. It's one of those things where I'm less concerned about what the show notes say, because honestly, for me, the show notes could say the exact same thing every single time, as long as I get the chapters in
Let's
there.
just
And
say that the show notes have skyrocketed us to the top of the homoerotic podcast list. So just wanted to say you probably should go back and look at those notes.
that is an accomplishment. I can't even imagine what we were discussing to make AI think that was necessary.
All right. Well, hey, so be it.
Hey, I was also gonna bring this up. Elon Musk's private security detail apparently was deputized by the U.S. Marshals last week, which means that Elon Musk's private security detail can now carry firearms on federal property,
Oh,
like in the
fantastic.
presence of the president.
Oh, fantastic. Good, 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 good. That's what we need in this country.
It's it's still hitting on
I
this
hope,
timeline.
and I mentioned this before, but I hope the next president that the Democrats elect, President Cardi B, does the same thing, and then the Black Panthers are martialized
Oh yeah,
and and given the same power. I want us to go all in. The rules are completely gone now. There is no return to normalcy. It is going to be just one extreme after another.
yeah,
We've set the bar so low that the bar is gone.
yeah.
Bye, bar.
Yeah. John Stewart last night was going all in on what Doge could be versus what it is, and how the likelihood is that they will never find any of the fraud or corruption involved in the subsidies handed out to everything from Tesla, who doesn't Tesla doesn't make any real money on sales. All of their money is in subsidies. They make all of their money in the billions of dollars of subsidies that they get. Um, when it comes to like the fact that Doge has gone in and fired FDA employees that were responsible for some of the Neuralink. Like this is that's the corruption part that I know I was most concerned with, and ultimately now we're starting to find out just how effective these firings have become. The FAA administrator who had grounded SpaceX prior to Trump taking office, he grounded SpaceX because one of the giant rockets basically fell apart and spread debris from the Caribbean across Africa and into India. And he grounded SpaceX until an investigation complete. Then he's out as of January 20th when Trump takes office. He quit, he resigned, and that investigation goes away and SpaceX is free to fly again. This is there's the obvious is very apparent.
Oh,
And
even past Elon Musk, you had Mayor Eric Adams from New York City, who is
right.
under federal investigation for bribery from Turkey. I mean, what a New York mayor is doing with Turkey, I have no idea. But all the trips he took and the money he got is just really weird. So after the inauguration, Eric Adams flies down to Mar-a-Lago, helps sponge bath Trump, flies back, and next thing you know, the Justice Department has stopped the investigation.
Right.
And in the court filing, this is the crazy part. In the court filing, explaining to the judge why they're dropping the investigation, and they're doing it with prejudice or without prejudice. I forget the legal term.
I
Without
think
prejudice means you can charge them again in the future.
right.
So they dropped the charges without prejudice, if that's the right one, meaning
Which
they
means they
could charge him
can't.
again.
Oh, I think with prejudice is that they can't. Without prejudice means they can.
Right. So without
Yeah.
prejudice
Yeah.
means they can charge him again. So they're keeping that threat dangling over his head. But in the court filing, they wrote they feel that this investigation would hinder his ability to root out immigration and deport illegals. Like they said that. So it basically, they just wrote quid pro quo into the court filing. And the judge is like, what the F is going on here? So it's absolutely bonkers for sure.
Well, and then I think I saw a headline saying that Eric Adams was suing. Um, is he suing
He's suing the Trump
Trump
administration.
administration
Yeah.
for what was he
Well,
suing
the
them for?
federal government had deposited $40 million into New York City for some purpose, and the Trump administration came and just took it back. Like they literally withdrew the money out of the bank account,
Yeah,
said
that's what it
yoink,
was.
we're taking it back. And Eric Adams like, what? You can't do this. It is all upside down. It is very, very strange.
It's yeah.
So
It's
I think the strangest is the FBI is now being run by Kash Patel,
yeah.
and there's a guy who is just unhinged as can all get out. But now he's made to be looking normal because they've just appointed as FBI deputy director Dan Boingo Boingo, who is some sort of extreme right-wing conservative
Oh yeah.
talk show host. And his credentials to be the guy that actually runs the FBI is that he was a Secret Service agent once upon a time.
Yeah.
But now he is just an unhinged commentator, now in charge of the FBI. Barrett, I'm not calling the police ever. I'm not calling the FBI ever. I'm not calling the CIA. I'm not calling any. None of these departments are worth spit now. None of them. And you can tell by the appointments that there's such disdain for government. And the whole country is finding out now what the government actually does. Trump may be actually doing everyone a favor here. So there's nothing like, hey, let's remove all the services and let's fire everybody. to let all the red hats know, oh shit, government actually did stuff. Now I can't visit my national park. Now my mail's not getting here. Now my tax refund's not coming or being processed. They are in the find out stage for sure.
Yeah.
I
No,
saw,
these are.
what's his name? Zach Levi. Who's the guy that played Shazam, the actor?
Oh, I don't remember his name, but I saw his basically his reaction to um, all of the firings and whatnot, and his reaction, uh, basically, pleading to stop doing. He said, "I voted for Trump," or I'm paraphrasing,
He's like,
but
hey, you're letting go Trump supporters. He says,
yeah,
you're firing MAGA people. That's not supposed to happen. Like they literally thought they were just going to fire Democrats and liberals. And so now they are finding out that there is no rhyme or reason to all of these firings and all the services being eliminated. They're finding out right now, and more power to it. Now, we interviewed somebody on our show, which is releasing tomorrow. Anjane Brown. He goes by AJ Brown. He's an activist from Charleston. And when you see his TikToks, you're going to recognize him because he's got a very big TikTok presence. He's been involved in education and Black family um, activism
okay,
for many years. And he did a clip recently that we talked about on our episode where he was talking about those that saw the light now. They say, I supported Trump. I voted for him 3 times, but I didn't vote for this. And I'm now against this. And I'm sorry. I regret my vote. And he had a very good point. He looks right in the camera and says, I appreciate what you said. I appreciate you seeing the light. What was it that made you MAGA before, though? Was it the racism? Was it the hatred for other people? Was it your extreme religious views? What was it that drew you to MAGA? And he says, are you upset now and regret your vote now because it affects you personally? When it affected everybody else, it was okay. But now
yeah.
that it's come home to roost for you, now you're upset. He's like, I got no sympathy for you.
Yeah, ultimately, I think a lot of what people's reactions to is just how this is beginning to affect them personally, because there's no walking back a lot of this stuff. I mean, the email that Elon Musk sent out on Saturday to federal employees, 2.3 million federal employees, which ultimately, when I saw the headline, I thought it was just a joke. Like I was like, that is the most passive aggressive way of trying to um, fire
Well,
people.
he did the exact same thing at Twitter too.
I
So
know.
he's just taking the same playbook. And they had a deadline to reply to that email with the list of things they did last week by midnight Monday night.
Yeah, last night.
And so at this point, he says failure to reply should be considered a resignation. So I'm thinking right now our government should be shut down because apparently nobody replied to it except Yahoos like you and I.
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
we sent our submissions, but no federal employees apparently did. And
Well,
Musk was on X complaining about that fact.
I mean, you literally had. So I think ultimately what we're going to start to see, if we're not already seeing it, is we're going to start to see the heads of these cabinets, or the secretaries for all of these cabinets that are outside of the Doge realm, outside of Elon Musk, like a Cash Patel. Cash Patel told all the FBI agents, "Do not respond to the email. Just ignore it." You had people in the Defense Department that were telling them basically the same thing. Don't respond. Just ignore it. Let it just go away or whatever. So what we're beginning to see is that because Doge doesn't have there's no congressional power to the Doge Department.
Congressional power doesn't matter anymore. You realize
Right.
Congress is irrelevant, completely irrelevant. So it's not a matter of what Congress has authorized. It's a matter of what Trump endorses because his word now supersedes congressional authority. And it's funny as you watch this play out. Musk sends this email out and apparently with Trump's endorsement. Then the department heads, like you said, are instructing their employees not to respond, and Trump supports them.
Yeah.
And now Musk is outraged that his emails are being ignored and issues another ultimatum saying, you better respond to this email. And Trump supports him. So here,
Mhm.
Trump has no leadership going on. He's just watching this go back and forth and letting it play out, and supports everybody. So it'll be interesting to see where this lands.
Well, and we're now what 35 days into his presidency, or 30, yeah, like 36 days into his
I thought it
presidency.
was like 3 years.
And it feels like it, but he's taken 10 golf trips now somehow. And I can't even, I can't find the information on that, but the news is reporting that he's taken, even Fox News has reported 10th, the ticker across the bottom, Trump takes 10th golf trip in less than 35 days. And it's like, you have Fox News and Newsmax and OAN that are basically, like, at one point I think I saw an article that Fox News and Newsmax both basically, like, it was something that Trump had done, but they basically had their own little ticker come across the bottom of the screen saying Donald Trump oversteps, or Donald Trump da 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 da. And it's like, you have your own state-run media is already turning on you. And I think that the cracks in this, I well, who was Bill Clinton's political advisor? What's his name? James
Carville.
Carville. He came out in an article, or wrote an op-ed that basically said that he thinks that the Trump presidency will be over in less than 30 days. That he's already seeing the end of it.
The guy's like a cockroach.
Yeah.
He's not going anywhere. And I'm talking about the president here. He's
Carville's not much.
indestructible.
Carville's
He's
not
going,
much.
as much as you wish for certain things to happen, I predict he will last all 4 years of that presidency, that the next election is going to be complete chaos,
Yeah.
and that there will be an attempt for him to get a third election at the age, well, he'll be like 97 by the end of this term, right? That they're going to try to prop him up and go for another one.
I think a lot of, and maybe you and I discussed this, or I may have discussed it with someone else, but I think that there's an underlying plan in, and I don't know that Trump's aware of it, because I still am of the, I am still on the side of, I don't think Trump knows what's going on. I don't think Trump recognizes life day to day. Like, I think that he is more dementiated, or syphilis brain, or whatever. And I realize they may send me to the gulag for that, but the I think Trump is broken. And, like, I don't know what it is that we're getting, unless it's just the most Adderalled individual when he's up in front of the press, or when he's sitting next to Macron. Literally, Macron corrected him, and he just sat there and made faces and waved his hands. Like, Macron doesn't know what he's talking about. But, like, Macron knows what he's talking about when it comes to the money that's being provided to Ukraine to help Ukraine fight the Russians, because the French have stake in this. The Germans have stake in this. If Putin goes through Ukraine, he's going to go through Poland. He's going to go to Germany. He's going to go to France, and his plan is to go all the way to London. Like, he wants all of Europe. That is the plan. But I don't think Trump recognizes what's going on. I think that, we all know about the syphilis scars on his hands by this point, because we saw them during the campaign last year. And if he's got the scars on his hands, it's in his brain.
That UN vote was
Yeah, very telling.
tragic, more so than even disappointing. I mean, I
Yeah.
think it was expected, but for the president of this country to claim that Ukraine was the aggressor and was at fault
Hmm.
for the Russian invasion hit home to a lot of people. There, as I hear among my group what the reactions are, among some women, they're feeling like this is just a global example of victim shaming or victim blaming. And anybody who's been a victim of sexual assault, where they say, well, you shouldn't have dressed that way, or you shouldn't have been at that bar, and now you're blaming the victim, is exactly what sexual predator Trump has done on the global stage between Russia and Ukraine. And I also have a family that I'm friends with. They've actually got very close ties to Ukraine. They've gone over there for years and have adopted um, ex- children with special needs, extraordinary special needs, can't walk, nonverbal. And their family is like five different and now they're almost young adults of extreme special needs from Ukraine. And it's like became their mission, to be this family in the U.S. to take care of them and love them and raise them. And it's
Yeah.
just, they're just two of the most wonderful people ever. And they are in tears by what this president has said about their beloved country and the love they've poured into that country to say that they were at fault for being invaded. Gosh, if there is any other parallel that you need to have of Nazi Germany and their romp throughout Eastern Europe, where they also said, "Hey, uh, Belgium, you're being the aggressor here. We're going to invade you," and all Luxembourg and then Poland, you're being the aggressor. We're going to invade you. It's the exact same verbiage, and it is so frightening to see those parallels between what our own country is doing right now, Barrett.
Yeah.
You can't get away from it.
Yeah. I can't remember who said it, but there was a comment made, to never forget that the Nazis took over Germany first. That was it. It started within and then
Yeah.
expanded across Europe. And I'm really hoping that you know I joke when I have conversations with friends about the fact that what we're going through, or what we are, it hasn't affected me financially, personally yet, and I hope that it doesn't. And I hope that it
I don't know.
doesn't.
My 401k took a
Oh
slamming
yeah.
last week.
Oh yeah, no, I take that back, because the S&P, the stock market, basically, what was a 2 or 3%
Over a
drop.
3% drop. Yeah.
And a 3% drop at 43,000 isn't doesn't feel like it's a big deal, but 3% off of our 401ks is that's massive. I mean, it's not the 15% that we saw in 2009, or 15 or 20% in some cases. But you know I don't want it to affect me negatively, but at the same time, everything has to collapse. I don't think we're gonna I don't think the people that need to feel this the most to recognize just what their anger and their hate towards people that are different from them, that and I'll just mention this before we wrap up. But I was having a conversation with my father-in-law, and I pulled up the statistics because he asked me. He said, I hear ICE, that some of the Mexicans and they're not out and about anymore because they're afraid ICE is going to find them. I said, here's the statistics. The ICE raids have basically accomplished about a quarter of what Biden's deportations were. So ICE under Trump is actually deporting somewhere between 25 and 30% of what Biden did. So 75% less. I said, and that's because the amount of money that's being wasted, manpower being wasted on these raids that ICE is performing, is based on tips that have been given off of the phone line that you can call for ICE. And I said, so what we're seeing is ICE is not being effective because they're having to respond to so many of these phone calls, these tip line phone calls, and they're turning out to being there. People are reporting individuals that are not illegal, that have the necessary paperwork to stay, but it's taking hours out of these agents' hands to go do these things where they can't actually be effective in their jobs. And I said, so this whole expanded idea of people just being able to use ICE as a sword against people that they think look different from them is turning out to be completely ineffective, and there's no efficiency to it.
Well, I've
So
been trying to use ICE as DoorDash, to pick up deliveries for me at Walmart, et cetera. I figured let's put them to some good use. Let's get my tax dollars at work. All right.
well, Bill, I know we both have to get to work, so we'll wrap it up. But anything else? I know a new episode of Black, White, and Blue in the South with Dr.
Yeah,
Jamil
we
Brooks.
actually going to have back-to-back episodes because, again, our recording went over 2 hours. And so we split it up into two parts. So we have our interview coming out this Wednesday, and then the following Wednesday, we'll cover a bunch of news items, including, as we're talking about ICE, the kidnapping and deporting of a man who was in the country legally and was given
Really?
no recourse to prove it. It's a terrifying story of the Gestapo tactics being used in this country to remove people of brown skin who are here legally, 100% legally. And it's a frightening story. So we'll be sharing that in our episode. So stay tuned to Black, White, and Blue in the South.
Yeah, that's right. Black, White, and Blue in the South. You can listen to it across all the podcast software, podcast listeners. What do we call it anymore? It's just podcast platform.
Aggregates, platforms,
Yeah.
yeah.
Dr. Jamil Brooks and Mr. Bill Kimler. Of course, you can follow Bill across all of social media at Political Bill SC. I am Barrett Gruber. Normally, we host the All About Nothing podcast. Our episode that came out this week was with our former intern and now Zach replacement, Mr. Bill Fry. Did you hear my Bill joke? Did you listen to the episode this week? Are you still
I have
behind?
not listened to the full episode, and other than for the couple of minutes at the beginning where I was there harassing you live as you were recording,
So
I have not listened to it yet.
I am benefiting from the fact that Bill will be Zach's replacement through Zach's paternity leave because it makes it easier on me. I can just call
With the
everybody
name,
Bill.
we're all named Bill. So yeah,
That's
I did hear
right.
that part. Yeah.
So again, follow us wherever you listen. The All About Nothing podcast. You can also head over to our YouTube page and watch these live. And if you're on TikTok, follow us over on YouTube, because if you watch these on YouTube, you can actually interact with us. You can throw comments up there, and we'll talk to you. I can't respond to the comments on TikTok because some of you are extremely unhinged. So anyway, thanks, Bill. I hope you have a wonderful Tuesday.
Take care, Mr. Gruber. Until Thursday. I'll
All
talk to you
right.
then.
Everyone stay safe, be kind, and keep your hands to yourself. Oh, man. So on TikTok, we had 4,000 views.